Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I have a card as part of Newton's Nook Designs July release. It's called Newton's Naptime, and for today's card I'm going to be doing a one-layer card. As usual with the Newton's Nook releases, this is going to be part of a blog hop, and so I'll leave you a link in the video description to my blog where you can join in and leave comments on the different designers' blogs and enter for your chance to win this set. What is super exciting about this brand new release is that for the first time Newton's Nook is including dies. There are coordinating dies for some of the sets, and Newton's Naptime is one of those sets. So you see there that really adorable image of Newton on top of all the pillows and blankets, and there's a coordinating die that will cut him out. But there's also a die that will cut out the two hearts, and then a standalone thought bubble die. I thought that was something that was really unique. Rather than just to provide you the things that are stamped that you can then cut out, to have those extra little touches where you're going to be able to use that thought bubble with a whole variety of sets and combine it with all the different critters from Newton's Nook. And so you see there I was starting to think about my idea for the card, and like I said, I was going to do a one-layer card. So I'm going to stamp Newton over here in the corner, and then eventually I'm going to have the thought bubble coming out from Newton. And I'm actually going to be using the die as a stencil, and I'll talk more about that later in the video, but you can kind of see that I've already pre-cut that stencil, and what I'm able to do is think about my placement. Because they're clear stamp sets and I had that stencil trimmed out, I was able to think which side I would want Newton on and place the stencil, and because I'm using it as a stencil, I can flip it over and use it in either direction and make the speech bubble face in either direction. So today I'm going to be doing a lot of Copic coloring on my card because I'm going to be coloring all these little blankets and pillows from underneath Newton. And I'm going to try to show some of the marker caps, although I'm not very good at that. It's just that I get into coloring and forget that I'm filming it. But for the purple here, I'm using the V20, V22, and V25, I believe. I am going to color in a rainbow pattern. I had thought about trying to incorporate Newton right into the rainbow like I've done in the past, where I've made him like an orange cat, and so he could be part of the orange part of the rainbow. But there's actually 6 layers of the blankets and pillows, and so that's perfect for one to be each color. And then I figured I could color Newton in a neutral color, and so I wind up coloring him gray. It was really fun to color all these different blankets because they have different textures and the folds, and you have to think about where the shadows are going to go. And when the blanket has a fold in it, it's going to need to be darker there, and so I was trying to pay attention to those lines, but also adding some interest to where they're like this. The green one that I'm coloring has that sort of crosshatch pattern, and so I colored it with the shadows, where like the shadows would be a little bit darker on the top because the shadow's being created by the blanket on top of it, and there wouldn't be a shadow being created by the blanket on the bottom. But then I went over it and just kind of traced those cross hatches too, just to give them a little bit more definition, because I'm trying to think about if they were, designing this blanket, what sort of details would they add into it beyond the shadows. And so that was pretty fun. Here with the orange blanket, I had originally picked out these orange colors thinking that I would be coloring Newton with them, so I went with a slightly lighter orange. And it worked out well though, because then I could color the dots in a darker orange. And so rather than having to color around the dots, I just color everything with a light color, do all my blending, and then add the darker orange dots. And I colored out the red one as well, but I didn't feature that as like I said, I hadn't pulled out those markers yet. I sort of changed plans in the middle. And now I'm coloring Newton with some of the W markers. I'm going to be using W3, 5, and 7 generally for Newton. And actually, even though I laid down ink in the shadow areas, I started just by laying down the lightest ink. I am using Michael's Recollections 110-pound cardstock. This will bleed through. Even though this is a one-layer card, when you open the card, you're going to see the marker through it. And I'm fine with that. I know that some people, when they do one-layer cards, use an extra thick cardstock so that you cannot see the coloring through, but I don't mind it. And I could also just add a liner to it, and then you wouldn't see it. But what I like about using this thicker cardstock is it allows me to put down more layers of color. I can blend on the Georgia Pacific because it's what I'm used to, but I can do a lot more layers of color and a lot more manipulation of the color when I use this thicker cardstock. And so I laid down the lightest color, then the darkest color, and went back to the medium color to blend it out in this instance, creating those shadows on the sides of his face and where his paw was resting on his face and things like that. So as mentioned before, I die cut a piece of scrap cardstock, although I did shoot a little bit of a thicker cardstock. It's a cream 110 pound from Recollections that I had extra. And I am going to use it as a stencil. So because I wanted to be able to, brush ink through it and stuff, I wanted to use that thicker cardstock so it wouldn't accidentally bend on me. And so I have it cut out as mentioned, and then I'm going to take the Hickory Smoke ink from the Distress line and blend it out, trying to make the edges of the thought bubble a little bit darker than the inside. I think they might have blended a little bit better with the Tim Holtz round tool, but because I was working in a detail area, I went with the Sukaneko finger daubers. Now, the Hickory Smoke is a cool gray, and I used a warm gray on the cat. So they're a little bit of a mismatch, and maybe if I had fully planned out this card and not sort of switched gears in the middle, I might have tried to match those a little bit better, but I do think it winds up looking great anyway. And so I also just die cut those hearts into a stencil too, and I die cut them so there was enough space in between them that I would have room to work. And if you cut it out of a plastic material, then it would be a stencil you could keep and do some wet techniques on too. So if you really like these two images as a stencil, I would suggest cutting them out of some plastic material as well. And then because this is a clean and simple one layer card, I just wanted to add a couple little touches of detail without adding any bulk to the card. So I decided to use my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper and just rounded the corners with a 1/2 inch corner rounder. And then I'm going to add some faux stitching with a black pen. I had thought about maybe just putting the stitching on two sides and kind of highlight that corner where Newton is, but it didn't really make sense to me once I was looking at it, so I just decided to go all around the 3 sides. And that's it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafty videos, you can subscribe to my channel. I'm going to leave you links to the products in the video description below, as well as to the blog hop where you can enter to win this brand new stamp set from Nook Designs. Thanks for watching. Bye.